Okay, you might have to cut out the beginning of the recording, but
Is it
okay, it says it's on.
okay?
Good.
Should we start over again? Maybe from introduction.
You want me to stop recording and then start over?
No, no. I mean, uh, I introduce myself and I introduce you.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. Okay. Hello, Ms. Desiray. Thank you for joining discussion. It is an honor to be able to talk with you. How's your day, Miss?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Nafal. Hi, everyone. My name is Desiray Wilson. I am a scientific programmer who works on the MindAcid data team, and I'm excited to talk with you all today.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So, for the next 1 hour, we're gonna talk about uh, things that are related to your specific jobs, like programming and environmental issue. So you are currently a programmer in science. You take your bachelor degree in South Dakota Mines, which is a school of mines and technology, right? And then you take your master degree at University of Arizona, majoring in geographic information system technology. Am I spelling it right?
Mhm.
Okay. So firstly, I want to ask about how you grew up. Maybe you can tell us a bit about your hometown, childhood, and how eventually you interested in taking your current job.
Sure. So I grew up in the state of South Dakota in the United States. South Dakota is in the middle of the United States. It does not have a large population at all. So I grew up in a very small town. Um, and it was enjoyable um, in the way that I got to spend a lot of time in nature. So I really love that experience, and it's what got me interested in earth science specifically. And through school, I was just always very curious about the natural world. And I kept that curiosity up through all of my primary and high school education. And when it came to decide on where to go to college and what to do, we had a pretty nice university local to us called South Dakota School of Mines and Technology. And I decided to pursue geology. There's a lot of amazing rock formations around the area where I grew up, and it's a topic that I felt I knew the most about. So that's what I ended up studying for my undergraduate degree. But how I got involved in programming and data is that while I was attending um, for my undergrad in geology, I was actually required to take a class on GIS. And so through that class, I didn't know going in what GIS was at all. And for those of you watching, GIS stands for Geographic Information Science. And it deals with all of the databases and mapping of location-based data. And so I was introduced to GIS, the principles of remote sensing, so working with remote sensing satellite data. And through that, I really, really enjoyed it. And I was pretty fascinated with the ways we can use data to teach others or to bring awareness to different areas of earth science. And so I continued to take more classes on GIS and remote sensing, and I eventually minored in it. And then during my undergrad, I was able to take internships and things related to GIS, data science, scientific programming. which eventually turned into my career. And then going further in my education, I went to pursue an actual master's degree in GIS.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you what is, there is a good school in your town, which is South Dakota Mines, and you take your bachelor degree in geography, but uh, eventually you how the way you're interested in your current job is by uh, there is lesson in GIS. It's Geographic Information System. Is it right?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah. So you eventually uh, interested in your job because there is lesson of GIS in your
Yes.
college, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very interested in my job because it really involves a lot of GIS, a lot of data science, which I'm very interested in. And then it also um, incorporates a lot of creativity um, and continual learning. So I get to always continue learning things about science. And so those are the reasons I really enjoy the work that I do.
Okay. So I want to ask about uh, how long have you worked in NASA for my NASA data?
So I interned with my NASA data during my undergrad for about a year in from 2018 to 2019. And then I graduated um, from college in 2019 and was brought on uh, full time. So I've been working with them little over 4 years.
4 years in NASA. Actually, can you give us like the tips or how can you get into NASA? Because everyone know it is a well-known institution, right?
Yeah, so the process to become a NASA intern, we have a website. You go to intern.nasa.gov, and then you can fill out an application to become a NASA intern. And for the most part, the main requirements are that you be a current degree-seeking student.
Okay, thank you for the information. Is it worldwide or just from America for join NASA? Am
Most
I? Yeah. Sorry, sorry.
Most of the internships are open to US citizens only, but we do have a program for international interns. And I am not familiar with all of the countries we have agreements with. But if you go on to the website intern.nasa.gov, you can find the full list of countries for which we have internship agreements with.
Oh, okay, thank you. It is interesting. So, you're working at Mayonesa Data. Uh, can you tell us more about Mayonesa Data and how was it initiated in the first time? What is the goals
Mhm.
you made?
So, My NASA Data, it's a website that's dedicated to providing teachers of grades 3 through 12 students. So your younger students. What we're doing is we're providing those teachers with educational resources that incorporate authentic NASA Earth science satellite data. So through the website, we're providing teachers with lesson plans and activities that they can use with their students that feature actual data that the scientists would use. And then we also give them ways to access NASA data themselves. And a little bit of the background of my NASA data. It was started in 2004, so it's been around for a while. But it was originally created to bridge teachers and get them familiar with just atmospheric data collections. So here at NASA Langley Research Center, we have a data center that features a bunch of atmospheric data. So my NASA data was originally created to bridge or get teachers familiar with that data, along with citizen scientists and other scientists around the world. But over time, we've moved our focus to educators of grades 3 through 12 students because there was a need for it. And then we've expanded to include a lot more NASA Earth science data resources. So not just the atmosphere. We now focus on a lot of different parts of the Earth system.
Oh, okay. So your goal is to bridge the scientists and teachers to
Hmm.
the data that is taken by NASA.
Yep.
Uh, actually, I have looked into the website, and it's quite. It is actually good. It is interactive, and the user interface is great. Yeah, so people will not be confused on how to use it. Anyway, what about the process of data collection? Does it come from scientists with interview, or by journal, or by NASA itself?
Most of it comes from NASA. Some of it comes from other authoritative sources like NOAA, but most of it's NASA, and it comes from satellites. So a lot of people don't realize that even though NASA is very much focused on space, a lot of people are surprised to find that we actually have an entire Earth science division. And that is because one of the best vantage points to observe the Earth is from space. So NASA puts out a lot of satellites that go around the Earth and they're collecting data. And we have actually extremely large collections where NASA satellites have been observing the Earth and collecting data for decades. And so they're very complete data sets that teach us a lot about the Earth.
Okay, so it is. I want to ask: is the data is open for everyone, or it's for science purposes, or scientists?
No, actually, the data is for everyone. So NASA makes all of their data publicly accessible. So anyone can go in and download it for any of their research purposes. So any scientist, student, citizen scientist, or educator has access to this data. And my NASA data, we just try to make this process a little bit easier by packaging it neatly for educators specifically.
Yeah, because I think access is one of the issue that we
Mhm.
are as a student uh, facing with, because when we want to conduct a research, or yeah, we collect data by journals, but then there are the good journals. It is uh, and it is not free. Mostly are paid, and so we have not access to it. And by that means the my NASA data will obviously helps a lot of students.
That's great to hear. Yes, that's what we want.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, so it is great. And what about uh, so you are focusing on the environmental issue like climate change, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and how do you perceive the current situation? Uh, like there are a lot of talk, a lot of discussions about uh, can we mitigate our Earth from 2 degrees Celsius, right?
Hmm.
How do you perceive that situation? What is your opinion?
So, it's a complex issue. We definitely care about the environment and want to do everything we can to prevent uh, damage to the earth and the environment. So there are a lot of issues on the horizon that many scientists are interested in and trying to learn more about. What we on MyNASA Data specifically would like to do is to teach students about the different connections in the system, right? So it's all interconnected. We have the atmosphere, we have the oceans, we have the land, and they're all impacting one another. And so, big thing that we're trying to get out of the lessons that we create, what we're trying to teach, is to give students the skills to be able to use data to solve problems and to learn about these connections so that they can become the next generation of scientists and maybe help develop technological solutions to some of the problems that we're facing.
Yeah, I'm very much agree with you about educating the young generation because there's one says that maybe children is 20% of our generation, but it is 100% of our future.
Yes.
Um, but I think like in order for some programs to be initiated, it is much more likely depends on the governments, right? So the one who make the decision is government. And so how do we as a student and young generation can make impact? Yeah.
So the best way students can make an impact is by getting involved in your community, even if it's at the local level. So if you can, one way is to bring awareness. You can bring awareness of these issues to your friends, your family, your community members. You can volunteer with organizations that you admire that are doing good work. And those are probably the best ways that you can help address some of these as a student is to just get involved and yeah.
Okay, so maybe can kita in the right way. You initiated this great community. And so uh, I presume that you have known about Greta Thunberg. It is the one who speaks about climate change. Do you know Greta Thunberg?
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh, she get to speak in UN, right? At some conference, maybe yeah, conference. Uh, how do we actually can speak in that international forums? Do you know? I'm sorry if it's not your.
I do not know.
Oh, did I? Okay.
I am not sure how she was able to get involved in that platform, but um, I wish I did. It's interesting.
Actually,
Yeah.
yeah, I very much want to be able to talk in the international forums, like
Mhm.
giving ideas and yeah, just uh, meet with great people. And so I want to ask about uh, the environmental issue itself, more to urban heat island. Uh, urban heat island, by definition, is this city uh, heat get heater than its surroundings, right? Uh, can you explain about uh, what are the causes and what are the implications toward humans?
Yeah, so the urban heat island effect happens because in cities we use a lot of rocky surfaces. So when we build our roads, the asphalt, concrete, and we're building um, buildings that are made out of these rocky, dark surfaces, and they end up absorbing more heat. And so the result of that is that our cities end up being quite a bit warmer than what would be the surrounding vegetation. So, had the area just been vegetation, it'd be a lot cooler. But because we're changing the surface, it gets warmer. And so the implications of this is it's an important topic because most people around the world live in cities, so it's affecting a large majority of people. And so it can impact our energy usage to keep cool, and can pose a problem for people who live in really hot places, because even just a few degrees difference in temperature can really make it difficult to um, be outside or without air conditioning. So that's why we're interested in the urban heat island effect.
Yeah, and you're right when you say that people are getting more uh, live in the city area. And so I think it is important to know the solutions because like since everyone get to the city, there's much more. It means more pollutions. It means less uh, vegetations. And so how at the same time we can uh, tackle this both issue like they're obviously uh, moved to city because the living there is more uh, what is it? It's more good, right? Yeah. How do we tackle this employment and natural issue at the same time?
Yeah, so it's difficult because most people are over time moving to cities for more job opportunities and economic opportunities. Um, uh, the Most of the solutions are probably going to come from the city planning side of things. So definitely looking at how we build our cities in the future. um, we can see with the data that vegetation is much cooler. And so we know that maybe dispersing more vegetation around our cities could really alleviate some of the effects of this heat. But there are also many solutions that are probably being explored and more solutions that could be come up with in the future, new technologies. So it's a really interesting topic because it's not deadly, it's or as serious as some of the other issues we face, but it's something that with the right technological solutions could really help a lot of people.
So uh, we should be optimists for the solutions.
Hmm.
And so I want to ask about net zero emissions. Like, in there are targets for climate change, and one of which is net zero emissions. Do you optimist that it will happen in anytime sooner?
I really don't know uh, what's going to happen in the future. We can try to predict. So NASA does a lot of modeling to predict what the different outcomes might be for like things like temperature. Okay, so we do a lot of modeling that says, okay, what's going to happen if we stop emitting anything? Okay, this is the best. So this is the best case scenario. And then we have scenarios where, okay, what is the worst case scenario if we um, continue pushing out emissions and it only gets worse from here? Then what's the temperature going to look like? So I'm not really qualified to speak on what's going to happen in the future, but I do know of all of the great work out there being done with modeling that is trying to see what the range of what could happen will be, whether we continue on this path or we change things around. It's really interesting work.
Yeah. Okay. I interested when you say that you and your team made uh, the worst scenario. Can you tell us a bit about the worst scenario? What would happen?
So this isn't my team. This is other teams at NASA who do some of this modeling. And I can try and look up real quick the report. Well, actually, the one you might be interested in is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change does a lot of modeling. And they have created data sets that show some of these scenarios. So I don't know off of the top of my head what some of these are, but we have the data on my NASA data. So you can actually load the reports. That's called the in our atmosphere section, the IPCC temperature models. Does that help?
Oh yeah, sure. Thank you, Miss. Okay, maybe we're gonna move to another topic. I want to ask about technology since you have been working in technology. Uh, it's about AI. We all know that we have uh, entered the 5.0 industry, and there are automations, right? Others say that it is good, it is efficient for our time, and yeah, it saves our time. But the others see it the other way around, which is the dark side, which is the unemployment and uh, other uh, negative effect. And so, how do you perceive these situations? What is your opinion?
I mean, I can see both the benefits and challenges of AI. I also don't think I'm super qualified to answer on this topic as I don't really work with AI very much, but I definitely think that if managed well, AI could really help people. Um, it could save a lot of lives. It could eliminate a lot of human error in different industries. So I believe that technology in general can really improve the lives of humans. So,
Yeah, I hope so. I hope uh, people that are get maybe they get tired by the automation can learn, can adapt to this new era. Uh, maybe I want to ask about how AI or yeah, how AI will uh, tackle the environmental issue in any way.
um, so I it might. mm, I don't really know on this one. I mean, AI is really useful in my world for automating tasks like doing classifications with data, running a lot of models. So in the science world, I see a lot of like machine learning and AI to be able to help model different scenarios, right? So we can put in all of these different parts of the Earth system into a model and determine or start to understand what possible outcomes could occur. And so that's where I think it's going to be really big in science and could help us guide us along a path to making better decisions about the Earth for our future.
Okay. Uh, and I want to ask about since you are scientific programming, uh, is there any way or yeah, is there any other way beside of formal education or university in uh, learning about a scientific program?
Yeah, so actually, scientific programming, there's lots of ways to get involved without formal education, especially as we move towards open source technology. I know specifically with Python, Python is very popular in the scientific community, and because it's open source, so many different people and groups have created tutorials for free online. So that is a great way to get started with scientific programming is find some of the reputable tutorials and learn how to download the software and get started. They're really great. A lot of them are really beginner friendly, and Python is a very easy language to learn. And so from there, then you can branch out into all sorts of different things. You can learn different packages. So from there, you could get into learning different statistics that scientists use, generating charts. There's different packages you can import to create charts or mapped data visualizations. And so there's a lot of different directions you can go. And there are a lot of resources out there to help you get started.
Talking about Python, is it possible for someone to learn Python without formal education uh, get employed in a big company?
Well, I guess it all depends on the competition for the jobs out there. So I don't know how employable you would be with or without a degree. I'm not sure, but it's a skill you can put on your resume. So no matter what you do, um, Python is a skill that is definitely marketable. And I encourage anyone who's interested in science or technology to at least learn some of the basics because it's such a helpful tool that's used among the scientific community.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss. Uh, Maybe I'll ask my last questions. Uh, so I currently partake several organizations, and I'm facing a lot of challenges. Oh, we want to make an insightful content, but uh, mostly the insightful one will be boring for society. And so, do you have any suggestion? Do you have any advice uh, so that we can make content that is attractive and insightful at the same time?
Mm, attractive and insightful. Um, I guess. mm, Well, I think a big part of it would be to get people, you first need to get people interested in what you're presenting, right? And so some ways to do this are to make it as engaging as possible. We know it's hard to keep people's attention. So we're seeing a shift in because people are so bombarded with information that you have to create content that's pretty short and to the point, especially when you're presenting. Is a tip I've found. Um, you can craft your whatever it is, your topic, you can craft it around a story, and it really helps to relate it back to your audience in some way. So if there's any way you can make those connections to the community or the audience, any way you can create that connection to them through your topic. So this could be like bringing up ways in which it could affect their lives personally, or the things that they care about. And then to just make definitely engaging presentation materials. Try to become an engaging speaker, and look to other examples that you admire, to observe how that is done. I think those are some of the things that I find help.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we need to first make our society engaged by the content, and then can provide content that is more personal to them.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Miss. Uh, oh, I'm sorry. Is it 5 minutes left?
We can go a bit later. Don't worry about the time. That's okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Maybe that is all for me. If others have question, you may ask.
No, no, no. Well, maybe you can introduce your friend first.
Okay.
Or
Sorry. So, hello, Mela Faisa. Uh, Mela Faisa is my friend at UGM at our university, Miss. She called May. Hello, May. And there is Fadil Mufti. Fadil Mufti is friends of my friends. What is it? Friends of my friends. And he's very brilliant. He get accepted in five great university. Hello, Fadil. Do you guys have any questions to ask to Miss Desiray?
Unstable video. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Nice to meet you all. Glad you're able to join.
So, do you guys have any questions?
Maybe I want to ask a question regarding about the climate change. May I?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
I
you
might
may.
I might
Sure.
not be able to answer some of these,
Oh,
but I'll
okay.
try
All
my
right. It's all right.
best.
So basically, I just learned about the climate change in the recent bloodness. So I also have heard that in the past, yeah, Earth has been experiencing the ice age period, which could make the climate is more colder than before. So our climate change now with are facing the problems about the condition that is more warmer than ever, and it is more hotter than we could ever reach. So is it possible that in the mesoclimate area, it is possible that some areas are not experiencing climate change, and how NASA's could um, deciding whether it is a microclimate change. I'm sorry, I mean microclimate change in the world if there are one areas that or the mesoclimate areas that is not experiencing the climate change at all. Maybe that's my first question.
Hmm. So, the big thing, you're exactly right. There are going to be areas that are not experiencing the same thing, right? So there are based on this system of systems, okay, right? Everything is interacting. So we have the atmosphere interacting with the oceans, interacting with the land, interacting with the ice, and it's going to cause different reactions in different places. Not every location on Earth is going to rise in temperature. But the reason that we call it climate change is just that it's change that's happening at a very fast rate. So that's basically how we approach this is no one's saying that it's going to be the same in every location around the world. The big thing is that overall change is happening and global averages are changing, and we're observing that.
So maybe I want to ask again regarding that answer. Is it possible that we are experiencing ice age again, maybe regarding about the melancholy cycles that we are experiencing in the past for for countering the effect of this climate change? Maybe like it is a bit crazy, but I don't know. Maybe it is possible to experiencing the ice age because the climate change is also happening at the fast rate. But we are also have been, I mean, like had been experiencing the ice age, maybe some kind of period last past year. So not past year, maybe past period. So is it possible to ice age is experiencing or occur again?
So there's a lot of different variables that go into the climate of our planet. Okay, and so these cycles you're talking about, there are all sorts of things that contribute to these cycles. So we have our distance, and the shape of the path we take around the sun, and but also the interconnection of systems such as how much land cover there is, like how much vegetation versus how much rocky surface versus how much ocean is exposed, all affect the albedo of the Earth, which then is going to influence things like warming or cooling. All sorts of things are affecting this. There's just so many variables, and that's why Earth has had different experiences throughout its millions of years that the climate has changed, right? And so what scientists are trying to do is understand what is happening. There are a lot of variables um, that need to be modeled to understand what is exactly happening. Um, in the past, some of Earth's warming has been triggered by volcanic gases being released millions of years ago. It was volcanoes that led to some warming on Earth. And so now we're putting in to the atmosphere a lot of these similar gases just on our own. And so how are humans changing the environment and what does that mean for Earth based on what has happened in the past? And these are the questions scientists are trying to study. I don't think we have all of the answers. Scientists are furiously working to try and model these scenarios to understand how everything is affecting one another. But you can see that there's so many different variables in the earth that need to be modeled that it's difficult to do.
All right. Maybe I want to ask again regarding that. In your opinion, is there any different or significant change about the factor of this ice age from the Milankovitch cycles that is occurred or happened recently that if you are thinking about it, it's maybe possible to occur an ice age in in the future or the near future. Maybe that, in your
I don't
opinion.
I don't know. I don't know if it's possible or would be a reasonable solution. I just don't know enough about um, whether or not it would be something that could happen.
All right. And then when you make a modeling about the climate around the world, are you using only the US satellites to gather the data and you collect all of those, like maybe the cloud cover and then the aerosol on the atmospheres and then maybe the temperature changing around the season? Is it are the NASA's only use their US satellites, or maybe they also using all around the world satellite that is collecting the data around the Earth? And if it's using all the Earth satellite that is orbiting around around the Earth, are the NASA have the authorization uh, to use that data to make a modeling or giving some sort of information?
So I think in these modeling scenarios, they're looking at the relationships of different variables and how they affect each other. And yes, they do use data to determine how different areas or different parts of the Earth system affect one another. But I don't know exactly what data is being used. I would assume that there's combinations of satellite data and other research that has been done and testing some of these scenarios, but I just don't know. But we could certainly find out and look. So, like the IPCC report, we can go in and look at the sources And they probably have it listed which data sets they've used to derive their results.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss, for answering my question. Maybe that's all for me. Maybe other wants to ask questions.
Maybe May or Kanikita or Muhammad Dafa want to ask.
I think the question. I think I have no question, but I really appreciate that Miss Desiray explanation is very easy to understand. And thank you for Fadil for the question. Actually, other people question will be our question, so we kind of curious about what is the actual answer of the other questions. So thank you for giving the question, and thank you, Miss Desiree, for giving us a lot of knowledge. And yeah, actually, I'm so happy for today because yeah, student and scientists meet together, have a discussion. It is the best moment actually in my life. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Nikita, for having me. Enjoyed it.
Maybe
Yeah.
before maybe before we close our discussion, uh, maybe you have a closing statement or something you want to add, Miss Desiree.
Yeah, maybe you have any message for young people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I say if there's something you're passionate about, find others whose work you admire. So find a scientist, a speaker, a creator, a developer. Ask them how they got into the position they're in and what tools help them in learning the material. And I'm sure they will have great advice for you to take to learn about these different areas that you're interested in.
thank you so much, Miss. I think we have come to the closing, but before we close, we can take a screenshot. So do you have any idea? So what will we post? Peace or thumbs? Peace, is it?
We actually
Thumbs.
always do the post like
Okay.
this one because I
Okay.
don't know the other post.
I'll
Okay.
do
Okay,
that.
let's do
Peace or
this.
Do a
thumbs?
Or
mix.
thumbs
Okay,
up. Okay, thumbs up is great too.
okay, I'm
So
gonna
I will
count.
count one, two. Oh
Okay.
yeah, you can count.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Three, two, one. One again. Three, two, one. Thank you so much, Miss Desiree, for coming. I hope we can see you and discuss about other things in anytime sooner. Thank you so much, Miss.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And waiting for the other discussion.
Yep, sounds
Thank
good.
Yeah,
you. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Thank you, Miss.
And
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
and see you and
Thanks a
have a
lot.
great day.